welcome to Notes 3, Operations with Integers, Absolute Value, Adding and Subtracting. So, we've been talking about how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide whole numbers, things like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so forth. Now, today we're going to talk about integers. Integers includes not only our whole numbers, but it's also going to include our negative numbers like -1, -2, -3, and so forth. So let's get going. Definition. Integers include the whole numbers and their opposites or negatives. And we can illustrate the set of integers on a number line as follows. Notice that on the number line, we have 0 in the middle. Our positive integers are to the right of 0, and our negative integers are to the left of 0. Another important thought to keep in mind here is that as we move along the number line from left to right, the numbers are increasing in value. So we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers are increasing in value. It's important to realize that even when you start here at the negative, -4, -3, -2, -1, they are increasing in value. Yes, we say that 4 is greater than 3, but when you're talking about the negative numbers, -3 is going to be greater than -4. The numbers are increasing in value on the number line from left to right. All right. For a lot of our introduction to adding and subtracting, we're going to be living here on a number line. All right. Absolute value. The absolute value of a number is defined to be the distance between that number and 0 on a number line. The key word here is distance. And distance is always measured as a positive value. If you're driving from Lubbock to Dallas, and it's, 300 miles, it's 300 miles from Lubbock to Dallas, it's 300 miles from Dallas to Lubbock. The distance is not negative depending on which way you're going. Distance is always positive. So we use absolute value bars to denote we want to find the absolute value. So for this first example, the absolute value of 3, well, just for illustration purposes, here's a number line, there's 0, there's 3, and the question is, how far is 3 from 0? Well, if we count the spaces, 1, 2, 3, there's 3 spaces between 3 and 0, so the absolute value of 3 is 3. And if we, again, look at this number line, let's extend it out just a little bit further. Let's go out to -3. -1, -2, -3. This question is asking how far is -3 from 0. Well, again, if you count the spaces between -3 and 0, you have 1, 2, 3 spaces. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. So, no matter what number you have inside your absolute value bars, absolute value of +3 or absolute value of -3, the answer is always a positive value. So, for example, when we look at problem number 1, or example number 1. The absolute value of 7 is going to be 7, because 7 is 7 units away from 0. The absolute value of negative 7 is going to also be 7, because negative 7 is 7 units away from 0. Now, problem number 3, this one's a little bit tricky. We have this negative sign in front of our absolute value. This is essentially saying what is the negative of the absolute value of 7. That's the question that's being asked. Another word for negative of could be opposite of the absolute value of 7. What is the opposite of the absolute value of 7? Well, we already know that the absolute value of 7 is equal to 7. So this question becomes, what is the opposite of 7? And the opposite of 7 is negative 7. So, whenever you see a negative sign in front of the absolute value bars, it's asking for what is the opposite of the value of the absolute value of 7. So, just another quick example. If I had the opposite of the absolute value of negative 2, this is going to be the negative of 2, which is going to be negative 2. Because the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2, and we're asking what is the opposite or the negative of 2, which is going to be negative 2. What is the absolute value of 0? It is 0, because 0 is 0 units away from itself.